What's up guys, I'm here with my 2006 S2000 and today I am going to be replacing the shifter bushings. This will work on any year S2000. Here are some of the OEM parts that I will be using. We'll get to those in just a little bit. But first we need to take off the shift knob. So your car doesn't have to be on jack stands lifted up like mine is. I just got done doing some maintenance, so you don't need that, but I'm just going to leave it how it is for now. And let me show you guys how to take off this shift knob. So this is a 14 millimeter. We're going to turn the nut, this nut here and the shift knob in the opposite direction, and then you'll just take off your shift knob, and that is a nice lock nut. Very nice. Next, we are going to need to take off this interior trim piece right here, all of this center dash. So in order to do that, you need to bring your emergency brake all the way up, and then you can feel underneath here. Just kind of pull this up with your fingers. I wouldn't use a screwdriver or anything, but there's some clips that run along here. You just have to kind of try to pull them up one by one. There we go. These came up. So just be careful, take your time. Just try not to break anything, but a little bit of prying and it should come out. All right guys, now that that interior trim piece is out, here you have the wires that were connected to that piece right there. Mine had 3, so just unclip these. Just your standard push pin clips right there. But all right, next step, you can see this white ring around the shifter here, and there are 4, they are little triangles or little things that point out where to put your flathead screwdriver, and you're just gonna kind of shove it in there and then kind of pry it up. And there are a total of 4 of them. They're about 90 degrees apart from each other, so there are clips underneath there. So what you want to do is just kind of pry it up to dislodge those clips. Also take note of your shifter. It has a slight bend to the right or to the passenger side, so keep note of the orientation of your shifter as well. So I'm going to go ahead and try to undo these clips on this white ring here. That came off relatively easy and didn't break any of the tabs. Great. So now we can see our shifter here. We're going to raise this rubber boot up, and then there should be 3 10 millimeter bolts underneath it. Here you can see 1 bolt right there, and there's 1 over here and 1 here. So just remove those 3 bolts that are underneath this rubber boot, and then we can proceed to take out the shifter. Okay, all 3 bolts are out. Here we go. Oh yeah, that grease is dirty. All right, let's go ahead and get this on the workbench and out of the car so we can service this thing. Ooh. Dirty. Man, yeah, this thing definitely needs a re-grease. It's nasty. Alright guys, here is the shifter boot with the plastic pieces removed. I had to break off the one that was on this ball right here. I even had to use my Dremel a little bit, so I had to cut a slice in it and then kind of break off little piece by piece. It's kind of a pain, plus you have to be extremely careful not to obviously mar this surface. I marred it up a little bit, so I took some 1000 grit sandpaper and went over it a little bit just to smooth out any burrs left over. So just be extremely careful, take your time, because it will take some time to get those old plastic pieces off. Anyways, now we can use my super high temp urea grease, of course by Honda, and we are going to lube up both of these. So you just push these in, make sure they are extremely well lubed up with your urea grease. And there you go. They are on there. I'm going to put a little bit on the outside of these bushings. And then we can go back in the car and clean up in there and re-grease. Well guys, I have some unfortunate news. You can see that crack right there. Whenever I put this on, just by putting pressure on it, on my workbench here, it actually cracked this brand new bushing. So, yep, well, looks like I'm gonna have to order a new one of those right there. There's a part number for the carriage, by the way, but anyways, yeah. That is very unfortunate. Yeah, because that is definitely separating. So that is no longer good. Great, brand new part.
Hey guys, I just wanted to share with you the tip that I found to be useful. That bushing at the very end of the shifter, as you saw, it did crack on my workbench, and to help prevent that, I found that you need to soak that bushing in warm or hot water. Basically any temperature that you would drink like a hot cup of coffee or tea with. So maybe at least like 170 degrees, 180 degrees. Just soak it in that for a few minutes, maybe up to 5 minutes, and then try it and it just pops right on. So I found that to be very useful. So give that a try, and back to the video.
So now you're going to want to clean all the old grease out of this transmission hole right here, so you are able to put in some new fresh grease. Alright guys, we're going to take our super high temp urea grease by Honda, and we are going to lube all inside here, all in here with this stuff. And we're also going to lube the end of the shifter, and then we can finally place it back in there. Alright guys, we got it all lubed up in there. We also have our shifter, the bushings, all lubed up with that grease. Oh, you know what I'm forgetting? The spring. Do not forget the spring. Brand new OEM spring. Gonna put a little bit of lube on that. Put it on the end of that. Let's get to installing. Alright guys, whenever you install this, you want that ridge right there in front. And also the end of the shifter right here, this will be pointing towards the passenger side. So that's how you know. That ridge actually facing away from you. And then the shifter will be, because that ridge right there on the bushing will go in the ridge you can see on the very top of the hole right there, that little notch right in the center of the top right there, that will go in there. So just so you know, and also your shifter should be pointing towards the passenger side. So I'm just going to plop this in as is, and then we can fasten this down with those 3 bolts. Alright guys, once you finally get your shifter in, go ahead and tighten the bolts evenly. Don't just tighten one all the way down, because that may make it a little bit uneven since this is spring loaded right now. So once you have them relatively tight and have distributed them evenly, now we are going to want to use our torque wrench and torque them down to 7.2 foot-pounds or 87 inch-pounds. Just those 3 bolts down there. Just remember to push the protective boot back down. Remember the little tab that is up there, right there, points towards the front of the car. Let's just push that down. Rubber boot. Line the holes up to the holes in the frame of the car, and then here is your locking ring. Just make sure that the tabs are going in the holes in the boot and that they are all lined up. Then you just have to slip this in, and then we can just push it down to lock it in place. You should hear all of these clips click. Alright guys, after you have all of that installed down here, all you have to do is connect your 3 buttons on your little center console here, and then just kind of pound this down and get all those clips recessed into their position. I already have mine, and besides putting on the shift knob, you are basically done. I mean, don't forget your little lock nut right here, but that is it, guys. That concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching, and be sure to tune in for the next one.